Yeah, I guess that's the thing. If you follow the general trend, and what do they say in any sort of trading? The trend is your friend, and it's just looking at that macro. It always looks really good. Opening statements from either you, Spark, or Cryptonaut.
I'll let Cryptonaut go first.
Beauty before age. Is that how it goes? You hear me okay?
Yes, sir. We got all your scathing comments.
Nice. I can do that because I'm halfway around the world from Spark. He can't hurt me. So, yeah, opening statements. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this month specifically for a long time. I know many community members are as well. And but if we take a step back and look at the larger picture here of the 2024, just like Chiefs mentioned, we're on the cusp of a potential bull run happening here, and it's exciting to see where we're gonna go. Because one thing that I've learned in probably my 6 years of doing crypto is that it really boils down to timing. A lot of it has to do with timing and success of projects, success of seeing potential. Just boils down to timing, and I think that we are timed very well, and I think that we've got a lot of tech that we want to roll out and things we want to do, and I think that the time is prime for us to do that. And even though it might take us some time to get some of these bigger vision things out that we want to do, we're just glad that you're here for the road, to join us on this road to this success that we're headed towards. So can't wait to show you some of the big things that are going to be coming out this year. We've got quite a few things planned, but again, it's about to not only join the ride in the bull run, but also just changing the way and raising the bar and standard of how we view crypto and how we interact in crypto. And so I couldn't be more excited about that.
100%. That's it. It's the perfect time to cast vision forward, and I've got a bit of an exercise we'll do after this. Spark, your what we say yearly launch. Do you want to give us a couple of quick sentences?
Yeah, I think, and I think this has been reflected in the few X talks, AMA sessions we've been having on Twitter. If anyone's tuned into those, for those who have, interoperability is fundamental to the future of a successful blockchain ecosystem. I don't think we have anybody that has been on those talks that would disagree with that statement, whether they're in DeFi, whether they're in gaming, whether they're in identity, whether they're in NFTs, whether they're in meme coins, right? So, and I think this is not just an outlook for 2024. I think this is a major outlook for 2024, 2025, 2026, and beyond. When you look at all the projects in terms of, it comes down to the fact that they want to reach as many users, as much liquidity, and get access across as many chains as possible. The only way that happens is effective interoperability. So I think we're extremely well positioned to join that narrative. And I think as we continue to build out this month and also post MainNet, I think we're also extremely well positioned to lead that narrative as well. So that's what gets me excited. I think I have to echo Cryptonaut's sentiments. I've been looking forward to this month for a long, long time, and even more so the end of this month when we can launch MainNet. I think it's an extremely exciting time. I think there's going to be a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement around in the next few weeks. So yeah, no, exciting time. 2024 is the year.
I think everybody in the community echoes that. It's been well anticipated. Definitely, I know everybody inside this call at the moment, for example. It's the moment. This is the month we've been waiting for, and I think everybody's ready. The perfect time of year to cast forward and think, if we're looking at an ecosystem, if we're looking at community, we're looking at our layer one. What do we want it to be? What do we want it to be in the next 12 months? And I think it's just like I said, it's an excellent time to sort of cast the brain forward and think about what the could be's are, what the possibilities are. And like from a community perspective, come 3 months, 6 months, 12 months from now, it's sort of like, we'll have projects on chain, we'll have people bouncing around between all the different little nuances around the thing, whether that's from the L1 decks, whether that's into just sharing their degen strategy with each other, whether there's meme coins or some form of random pet on chain, whatever layer 1X's first one of that'll be. If we're looking 12 months into the future, we have so many things online and on board that our ecosystem's thriving. And I just think what a perfect time of year to kick off, obviously, the first month, but also to consider what the future possibilities are. And how I suppose from your vision, higher up, me being community-based, that's how I see. What do you guys see as being the next 3, 6, 12 months?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I actually went to a small event yesterday with the COO of Blockchain Australia, and we had a small group of us there, and we're talking about it, literally around this particular topic. It was really interesting because when we started talking about it, some of the topics and problems coming up is they were simple things or boring things, maybe regulatory. The Australian government is actually starting to reach out and seek input and consultation around things like digital identity and the central bank digital currency, which is, from their description, is in a little bit of a mess because they don't quite know what they're doing, or they don't really have the solutions. And when I started going through a little bit more about what we're building at the moment around digital identity and the work that we're doing with OnChain in Turkey. If you haven't actually gone and listened to the places we did with Osman from OnChain, you need to go and listen to that and listen to it again and again, because the things that he talks about in there around the future use cases for digital identity, it goes everything from a simple library card all the way through to ultimately passports. Being able to really create your own digital DNA that you own and you control. And what are we building? We're building that right now. That's exactly what Kevin and the team have actually been putting together. When you start seeing some of those things, and CryptoNord alluded to it earlier, that some of the capabilities that we're going to be introducing are just they've never been seen before in the market, and that's probably what excites me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess same, if we remember the same sort of a question, like what does the next 3, 6, 12 months look like from your perspective? CryptoNord, like I know, obviously being our chief experience officer, vision building is massive in your department. Like it's all about you see it first so that you can make it, so that we can live it. How does the 12 months look for you?
Who's ready to go down a rabbit hole? If you haven't had a chance to see our latest post that we put out yesterday on Twitter, I highly recommend you jump over and click on the link and read more about objects. For me, in the next 3 to 6 months, objects is gonna be kind of a learning curve, but I think that once people start getting into the fundamentals of what objects can do and how it will transform how we interact, how we engage, and how we consume blockchain data, content, things like that. I think that that's when people, I feel like a lot of the community members have already had that L1X aha moment. But I think that once they are able to jump in and really start to utilize the whole L1X app, and how objects fits into that fundamental building blocks to the foundation of the L1X app, they're just gonna have some fun with it. They're gonna see the potentials of what they can actually build, and if they've been in crypto for 12 plus months, a few years, they're going to see that they don't have to necessarily conform to the different projects of how they do things, right? They'll be able to go in and they'll be able to start building kind of if then automation kind of deal, right? There's a lot of degen kind of community members in our fold here, and for me, I feel like there's a lot of fun that's around those kind of DeFi finance projects, and however, there's some limitations with them as well. And so, if you can kind of almost in an essence bolt on different aspects to enhance your experience with those different projects, that's what Web3 is all about, is making it customize to you and to you alone, right? And so, you look at the four of us here, we might experience Web3 in a totally different manner than each and every single one of us will, because we're customizing it to how we want to consume, how we want to interact, and how we want to engage. And I'm looking at some of the stuff that Kevin and the dev team are building out and where they're headed and where our vision is 2, 3, 4 years down the road. It's going to be it's going to be mind blowing to people that aren't necessarily using the L1X app, using objects, but the people that get in early enough in those, when we start rolling out these different phases to where we're headed, it'll be very natural for them to make that next change or that next evolution to their experience. And that's what I'm probably most excited about when it comes to the vision and user experience of L1X.
CryptoNaut, just a little bit of a question without notice on here. With all the capabilities that are coming with objects, do you want to just give us an idea, give us a use case or a couple of use cases where objects can actually be used?
Well, so let's just say that you have your mobile phone. A lot of us took pictures during the holidays, right? And so maybe you have a vault or a data storage that you want to store those on. Majority of us that own iPhones have the cloud. I believe Android allows you to upload your photos to OneDrive, or not OneDrive, Google Drive, sorry. And it's a very similar kind of concept that you can build yourself type of thing. So you set up your storage, you create what's known as an action, so that anytime a photo comes onto your phone, you can create it so that it can sync with your phone, for an example. And then that way, every time you take one, it uploads and you're good to go. Now, if you want to tap into that and make it so that it goes into your influential hub so that all of your followers could see it, you can definitely do that as well. That's one use case. Another use case that you could do too is if you are participating in a DeFi type of project that requires you to come in and claim your rewards on a daily, weekly, monthly basis type of thing. And you could literally create it so that as soon as you claim your rewards, that you could make it go into a specific wallet. You could make it so that it transfers it. You could make it so that it automatically goes and buys L1X tokens, and you could make it so that it automatically stakes it for you as well. It's really up to you. So there's a couple of different components, right? There's the objects itself, which can be anything from a chat message, it could be a NFT, it could be a it could be a tokenization of your car or your home deed. And then you have actions, which are snippets of code that you can basically create automations with. They're kind of what we call triggers. Those are kind of the if-then statements I was just referring to a few minutes ago. And then you take objects, as many objects and as many actions, and kind of compile them into X apps. And those X apps are customized to you. However, once we roll out our marketplace, developers, you, and anyone can go in and basically list your actions for sale for other people to use. So that if you don't know how to code, you could literally go in and purchase a ready to use action, or even an object as well. Or you could even purchase a whole X app that has been put together. And it literally becomes a plug and play type of concept. And so that's what I love about this concept of objects, and how it will help fuel the Web3 experience. And so those are just a couple of use cases. Sorry, like you said, I was kind of caught off guard, but hopefully that makes sense. But it's endless on the possibilities of what you can create.
Yeah, which thank you. Absolutely fantastic capabilities coming. But what if so let's say I've got a business, and we go back to some boring things. Let's say I like a CRM, customer relationship management, for those that don't know the term. Is there a capability in there that will be able to that they would be able to use?
Yeah. You could literally go in and create we'll just use the small little mom and pop shop that has an e-com business, right? So you can go in and you could create a inventory management type of thing. You could create your own kind of website with it as well, that you could plug those products into. And then you could even link it. So if you're familiar with like sites like Shopify and places like that, I'm not saying that at the end of this month we'll have all these features, but this is where we're headed. And you could literally create your own kind of like whole Shopify experience. That if you're familiar with Shopify, they have these marketplaces where you can bolt on these extra services or even products to help you run your business, right? There's no need for that. You can basically go in and create them yourself, or you can go to our marketplace and buy these decentralized kind of aspects into that. But yeah, businesses will be able to tap into this. And I really feel like as we start doing these kind of things, that's when we'll start getting logistics, manufacturing, all that kind of stuff, so that it'll make it easier for businesses to start plugging in products into their inventory management, being able to trigger when things get low in their inventory to reorder. You could even make returns a lot easier. You could even start adding in kind of like escrow kind of things, bill of sales. And I know you've talked about this one numerous times, Chief, is being able to pay like your sales tax. Here in the States, we have to pay sales tax on some of our products that we sell and things like that. And so, I mean, it would be a great way to kind of automate that so that it pays the government directly. Likewise, it could even go as far down, if we're going down a rabbit hole here. My kids love purchasing, they're sneakerheads, right? So they love purchasing sneakers, Nikes, things like that. And so, if you think about it, if Nike was to come and actually participate with having their products tokenized onto a blockchain, and an athlete is using their shoe, they could literally start determining how often they need to replace their shoes based upon them playing in games, participating in the sport that they're playing with, and they could start knowing when to automatically start advertising or promoting them to upgrade their shoes. I mean, it's endless. I mean, you think of all the different rabbit holes that you can go down. It is truly endless of what you'll be able to do. And the best part is that objects will hopefully be at the forefront of all of that.
That's fantastic. I think we're going to really start seeing some of the capabilities coming out. And you mentioned about the sales tax side of things, and really being able to integrate every aspect and not having to go out there and find an integration company to be able to build all of that for you, costing tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars or more for small business and even for larger businesses as well, because they've got the ability to grow and scale using the L1X. That's probably the key for me, is how we can actually start using it. Everything from just a simple end user experience about how you want to operate and invest through DeFi, all the way through to gaming, all the way through to small business to large business. It's really bringing capabilities that the market just hasn't seen.
Well, the thing that I like about that too is that it puts the power of the data back into the user's hands, right? It gives them the control. And if you heard me, I think I talked about this earlier this past year, this last year, was, we all have started to basically fill our homes with these things called smart devices, right? A smart device, if you really peel the layers of the onion back to what the smart devices are, they're only as intelligent as the person that designs them, as well as the amount of data that is being pumped into it, right? And so this is why, if you look at Web 2, you've got a lot of these bigger companies that do not want to give up their data, because right now that data is their currency today. That's how they sell your data. That's how they monetize off of your data. And to be honest, is if you wanted to use a Google product with an Apple product, they're dumb. They can't talk to one another. And it's the same way in crypto right now with the different blockchains. You have Ethereum, they can't even talk to non-EVM chains. And so they're in a similar boat, right? And so that's where, with us giving the users control over their data and being able to manage that data potentially through their different devices, they can make their devices talk to each other using objects. And that's the other powerful thing that will come to fruition for objects and helping users do that, is that we can actually start having smart homes without having to buy everything from one specific brand that owns our data,
And
that controls our data.
I think that's key. I think you just hit the nail on the head there, because when you start going to some of these companies that are out there at the moment, and they're globally, they're huge. They're worth hundreds of billions, but they want the users to only use their service. Why? Why should we? We need to be able to link those systems together. And I know some of the work that Kevin and the team are doing around about being able to integrate various platforms. I won't go into the detail of those, but you'll see those coming out very soon. But everything from social media all the way through. I think when you start doing that, you're taking the power and the control away from those large corporations and giving it back to the end user, giving them control of their data, control of their and if it's a business, their users or their customers, enabling them to market effectively and without being charged massive amounts of money for advertising.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I just there's a question I think has been repeated here a couple of times, and Spark, this might be an opportunity for you to geek out a bit, because I know that it would be a missed opportunity of 2024 if we didn't allow you to do this at least once early in the piece. So I'll read this question as it's written, and then or you can whether that's a question you can answer or not. we'll just go from there. So is there a way to see how the L1X VM interacts with contracts on an EVM chain? As an example, if I do a cross swap from BSC to Avalanche, I see the funds are sent to a contract on BSC, then something happens, and after that I see the funds go out from a contract on Avalanche to my wallet. The part in the middle is there an on-chain scanner to see how crosstalk worked and interacted with these contracts?
Let me give that a crack. I'll answer that as best I can. What I can say as well is that the Kevin and the team are working on developer docs, like quick start developer docs for this month as well. So like all the information, as much information as possible, will be in the developer docs. But let me talk through as best I can with the process. So let's say you're going from BSC to AVAX. You require a liquidity pool on BSC and AVAX for now. When the L1 is up, they'll be able to form a balancer pool of multiple different tokens into a liquidity pool on L1X itself. But how it works is, let's say I want to send $100 from BSC to $100 of, say, BNB, and have that turn up as $100 of AVAX, and I'm sending it from BSC to AVAX. What happens is that $100 of BNB will go into the liquidity pool on BNB. So currently that's the single staking pools until the L1 is up and running this month. And so that $100 will go into the BNB liquidity pool on BSC. Then the event listeners will verify that transaction. Then what will happen is it will be sent through to the virtual machine and the rule processor, where the rule processor will take that event and then read that event as $100 of BNB wanting to transact for $100 of AVAX on AVAX chain. It will update the payload so it's compatible for Avalanche. It will then send that event through to Avalanche to pull out $100 worth of AVAX on the Avalanche side. Now, what happens is what's created in this transaction is a UUID, Universal Unique Identifier, which will have the transaction verification of what happened on BSC chain, so the $100 wanting to be sent over and then put into the BNB pool. The verification of that transaction, which will happen on L1X chain. So there's a transaction on BSC. There's also validation of that transaction on L1X. Then it crosses over to Avalanche. There's a transaction on Avalanche, and then also the validation of that transaction on L1X. So what happens is 4 transactions are recorded. 1, what happened on BSC. 2, the validation of that on L1X. 3, what happened on AVAX. 4, the validation of that on L1X, creating a UUID, which is 4 transactions verifying that the source and destination chain happened, that those events happened, and they were linked to each other through the validation on L1X. Probably about as best description as I can get without probably getting into visual documentation, which the dev documents will have. In terms of, and there's probably even visual documentation on the white paper. I know Chief and Kevin worked on the white paper, so I think there's even diagrams and everything. It's been a while since I read the white paper of 120 pages, but pretty sure that there's a process flow chart on the white paper itself that takes you through the process as well. But yeah, look, if that hasn't answered the question fully, then I'm sure the dev documentation, which Kevin and the team are working on, will answer that when they're out later on in the month.
Just to add to that, we're looking at adding some visual graphics in there and some information around how the actual process flow works between them. As for seeing it live, that's a little bit longer process to be able to start showing that. And it's probably something that's nice to have rather than a must-have today. I think the team is focusing on the capabilities, but we'll get to that.
And I think just to go back on the question that you asked, Chief and Cryptonaut, in terms of the next 3 to 6 months. I would say there's lots of releases, lots of updates, lots of things getting built. So to give maybe a couple of updates for everybody. So we've had advice to say, even though certain things on the roadmap are ready, that it is best that we actually release these, rather than dump everything on the market in January, actually release some of the features on the roadmap over the 3 to 6 month period. So there's still going to be a lot coming out in January, but also to ensure that we've got releases coming out post MainNet as well, and which we always will, but this will just have. So what we'll do is we'll update the roadmap in the next few days to show you, even though some of these things may be ready, the release of these things will, some of these items will be scheduled for post MainNet in February, which will either be the L1X app or the protocol. So some of the releases will be L1X app related, some will be protocol related, and then also beyond February as well, in the next 3 to 6 months, having releases up to that point. And the reason strategically why we've done that is making sure that there's news flow post MainNet launch as well, and things for people to look forward to, things that are coming out that improve either the L1X app or the protocol. That's really important for us to make sure that that's spread over a larger amount of time, even if things are actually ready to be dropped now. So just a bit of an update that we'll have the updated roadmap coming out pretty soon. Another update as well on the X Perks program. I know it's something that we've been discussing internally, and we're about to make an announcement fairly shortly around X Perks. So with the X Perks program, opting into the X Perks program in December versus January had a lower bonus percentage. So I think, for example, opting into Platinum in December was 20%, and then opting into Platinum in January was 18%. So just to kind of make sure that everyone gets the opportunity if they hadn't got their L1X coins in the X Perks program yet, what we're doing is we're basically making the December bonus rates the same as January. So there's no drop down in bonuses if you opt in either in December or January, just to make sure that anyone that was having issues with getting into X Perks in December is still rewarded with the December rate. So we'll make that announcement on Discord and the socials fairly soon. So just to make sure that I'm sure there'll be plenty of people pretty happy with that now you can get into X Perks and still keep the same bonus rates as December as well.
That's an awesome update. I know that obviously that helps out a lot of the community members as well. Like knowing we're in beta, obviously there's things that we need to be able to ensure that everybody can get across, and I think it really helps to the community to have that pushed out a little bit to give us the extra little bit of time for people that weren't able to get on for whatever reason. We're happy to continue on just with a couple of random questions from the community. Some good ones in here. So another question around what's being done to provide builders on L1X infrastructure the tools to deploy applications on chain. So to give context, almost at MainNet, no one has been able to deploy an application in the beta environment. Applications like the DEX, lending platforms, NFT platforms, DeFi systems running on testnet at the moment.
I can give an update from my knowledge of that in terms of the dev development, but it would be from my from my knowledge on it. So probably Kevin and the dev team are the best one to answer that, unless people Cryptonaut can jump in as well. So firstly, just going back to what I was mentioning before, the quick start dev documents that Kevin and the dev team are working on, so it's easy to deploy on applications on Layer 1X. Those will be out in January. So ease of use to build on Layer 1X will be there. I know from a kind of like proprietary perspective, early on in the piece, there's certain things that we want to keep close to our chest in terms of certain code that really is the secret sauce. And so I think with Kevin and the dev team, and Chief or Krypton will jump in here if this isn't correct, but Kevin and the dev team are wanting to ensure that that secret source is protected to a certain point. And so the dev docs allows that secret source to be protected, but people still to be able to build. That's my understanding anyway, and what Kevin and the dev team are working on.
You're absolutely spot on, Spark. We really do have to make sure that certain elements of the code is actually kept secure. It's very easy for companies that want to try and build the capability to start trying to pull it apart. And the way we do that is via giving the developers access via the APIs and the developer solutions that we provide them with. And part of that is the documentation, which they're working on right now, to make sure that it's easy for users to build. I just saw LMFG just posted a question up there around that we keep talking about apps rather than dApps. Effectively, what we are building, or what people are able to build on L1X, are dApps, absolutely. We've simplified it just by using the word app.
To add to that, think of it this way. Our white paper...
We're building a... Yeah, go for it. Yep.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, we have a 120-page white paper, and so that's pretty light. That's for investors and, for developers to kind of get an idea. It's not like the step-by-step stuff that needs to be done. So think of all the extra time that needs to be put into creating that content. So it does take a lot of time. Like Chief said, there are some things that we definitely need to keep close to our chest because it is proprietary. And the reason why I say that and the importance behind that is if anybody had listened to the AMA that Chief hosted last night with, who was it? Uma and
MC Squared.
MC Squared, yeah. There was a topic that came up in the conversation of in DeFi and interoperability, and there was a question that, or a statement that got made, and it basically boils down to this: is if in order for us to make crypto more widely adopted, one, we need to raise the bar of standards across the board for all crypto developers and things like that. So, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody out there needs to adhere to that, but let's be honest, there's some good bad actors out there. We'll call them bad actors that their whole purpose is just to scam, to pump and dump, to rug, those kind of things, and that's what really does scare off a lot of early investors, right? And so I think that if you look at what...
Right.
Well, I was just going to say, if you look at what we're trying to do, we're trying to raise that bar, and a lot of times that means that there are going to be certain things that standards that need to be met, and those are the things that Kevin and the developers are working on, is to make that higher standard. And yeah, it might take a little bit of time to get it completely rolled out to the public, but we've talked about this at length in some of the meetings that I've sat in with Machu and Mike, is that we want to have people know that when they're on L1X, they know that these projects are at a certain level of standard, knowing that they can go in, they can trust, they can do things like that. Are we going to be able to catch everything? No. But if we start building in those standards now, it'll be easier to help standardize a new level of commitment across all the different chains.
You're absolutely right, and it comes down to I guess 4 words: increasing security and reducing risk. And we need to reduce that down to the level of risk for users to the lowest level possible. Look, I've worked across the global finance industry in investment banking. I did that for about 10 years, and one of the major problems we see out there is fraud. It's those bad actors, the people out there who all they're interested in doing is stealing other people's hard work. I think there was another bridge hack yesterday. One of our, he might even be online at the moment, sent me the link across. Fantastic. It's great to hear that people are sharing that information, but why should we as users who are investing or putting our hard-earned money up expose it to those bad actors? And the same comes back to the code. We've got to secure it to make sure that people can't hack and do all their BS. It's unacceptable. Yeah, the existing finance industry. If you look at the amount of scams that occur in crypto, it's a tiny amount compared to the traditional finance. They can't solve that problem. Yeah, they've got teams of people that just sit there every single day and try and stop all the hacks in the traditional finance systems. In the banks. How do I know that? Because I've actually sat in those teams. I've been part of it, and that's global, not just Australia. It's just all over the world. So we've got to stop that, and the way we do that is by building it in from the very beginning, and that's exactly what Kevin and the team are doing. They've designed the system, and they're building it, and they'll continue to iterate as those problems come up, and they're identified. We will solve them. And we've got a challenge. I think if you listen back to the AMA from yesterday, there was some ideas that were brought up for that are going to be needed in the crypto space. So we'll take on that challenge and see if we can solve them as well.
Just I know we probably can't put an answer to this question. More details around the MainNet launch and what CEXs may be coming up, or are they ready to be disclosed? I think categorically the answer is no for can we disclose who, but is there any sort of maybe a dangling carrot you can slyly give out any information about around those questions?
I'm actually sitting in front of the list that I've got on my other screen at the moment. There's at the moment we're talking. Let me just think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 14, possibly 15 different CEXs that were in the final stages of those discussions at the moment. No, I'm not going to give any names away, but they're pretty good. We've got everything from tier 1, 2, and 3 level exchanges global. Interestingly, we've got a number. If you think back to one of the earlier Twitter spaces we did that I hosted with Omtane, in particular, we've got about 3 or 4 of those particular exchanges are actually focused on the Turkey and the Asian market. The rest are pretty much global through Asia, through the US, through Europe. We've had some very, very intense discussions with them. We've got all the work going through with those exchanges at the moment. So no, I'm not going to give any names out just yet until we actually have them connected.
You sure you don't want to just suddenly share your screen, or?
No.
We won't tell.
I'll drop one. I'll tell you a name. It's called.
Hang on, where's the mute button?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Is he going to tell us a name? Is it all the stitch up?
Oh, did I over talk?
Oh, did I cut out?
I see everybody's experiencing mic problems once again. It's very unfortunate. Just a question around the MythX audit. If we can get an update around that. Obviously, the code's been audited, all that sort of stuff. Do we have any information we can provide the community about the audit that's been done by MythX?
I can give you an update on we're actually getting another audit done. I don't know if it's been announced or not, but we're actually also getting another audit done, manual audit done, which got started in December. And we're looking to release the initial. So this is with actually a company that we've been talking to for some time. We did have probably 3 or 4, because we wanted to do a manual audit prior to MainNet as well. So we had about 3 or 4 audit companies that we were talking to. Some of them we went further into discussion, but then realized that maybe their history of secure audits wasn't great. I'm not going to name names, but we decided not to go with them. But we're really happy with the audit firm that we're working with now, and we'll be able to release. So when did they start working on it? The first audit report, that the first section that they're working on, will be released in about 30 days, which was probably, and it got started probably towards the end of December. So sometime this month anyway, we'll have the first audit out. That'll be a manual extensive audit, and this will be the company that we'll be working with for the actual manual intensive audit of our L1X.
It's fantastic news. Obviously, it's a big thing. Security. We talked about it already on this call. How important that is for the user, for the protocol. So I think it's always good. It's always good peace of mind for that. There was hang on, let me just read this. So there's a couple of questions around just wanting clarity around like why we have the secret source, and I suppose it's hidden at the moment. I know we've touched on this before as to why and when is the timeline, I suppose, for it to become open source, like the coding. I mean, what does that look like? I know we can't specifically give dates or anything like that, but what does that look like if we're to step out into the future, knowing if everything goes well from A to B to C? In terms of transparency, I know the community is very interested in what it looks like in the process. How can they see the process online? How do they know that? Like, when does it become open source? Stuff like that. Because I know that's part of the plan long term, but I suppose it'd be good to just give some clarity around that. So, just to quell some of the questions.
Okay, so when we've had companies like MythX do the audits of the smart contracts, the smart contracts themselves are actually pretty standard. They're Solidity-based smart contracts, but it's really not. When we talk about the secret source, we're not necessarily talking about the actual smart contract itself. We're talking about the back-end solution, how we do the consensus, how we do the mobile validation, how we pass the information from the event listener nodes through to the full validators and the signing and broadcasting nodes. There's a lot of code that actually sits in behind there, and how we actually look after security and actually look out for those bad actors that might be trying to come into L1X. There's a lot of that it's purely around the safety and security of ensuring the safety, the reliability, and the true decentralization of the network. That's really what we're talking about there. So there's different levels, and yes, we will ultimately be releasing a lot of the code, but not just yet. We want to make sure that it is safe, it is secure, and that's all where those audits come in. We've passed every single audit that we did with MythX without any issues whatsoever identified. It's been pretty good so far, and we're expecting probably the same from the new audit company.
Awesome. And I think just to give clarity, I think we talked about when, just correct me if I'm wrong, from a previous AMAs we've had in terms of open sourcing. Obviously, we want to have our first mover advantage is interoperable. Once it's open source and it's out there, then it's sort of, it's out there. But we want to obviously cement ourselves as the innovator of interoperability, let's call it. Is that fair to say? Am I on track with that? It remains closed source for the time being, obviously, so that we can cement ourselves where we need to be. Is that is my recall correct from previous AMAs?
Yeah, you're pretty correct on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So just keeping in mind of time, I know everybody's obviously started the year. We've got a lot to kick off and get into. Any closing statements from you guys?
Just from me, well, I mentioned before that I had the catch up yesterday with the Blockchain Australia. That was pretty good, pretty exciting to listen to that and to be able to talk about them, to see their faces when we started talking about, well, we're in the middle of onboarding the first 4 million, heading towards 15 million users. And they're like, really? What for? And around digital identity. And to see their level of excitement for these guys, and we had doctors there and others of some fairly high standing, and just seeing their excitement and their incredulation was really good. It was exciting to see. As a result of that, right, this AMA, I've just received a couple of emails from them asking for to see what they can do to help promote it across the and also through the government, because they're an organisation that is actually providing guidance and advice through to the various government departments here in Australia. Yeah, the governments are really slow here. We know that. Don't tell them. They think they're doing really good. But then they're not going to act until they see some of the things that are being rolled out globally. And for that, we come back to countries like Turkey. And somebody said to me going back a little while, oh, why Turkey? That's not a very important or big country. I totally disagree. We're seeing a lot of the adoption of crypto coming from countries that have very difficult economies, like Turkey, like Venezuela, like you even see it in places like India, that the adoption of crypto is stronger in those countries simply because they can't afford to put in place all these massive systems, from the government perspective. So they're looking at those innovative solutions. And that's why they've literally jumped at solutions that OnChain and L1X are providing. Yes, we are talking to those other countries. That's a bit of an ongoing process. But we're pretty excited about where we're going. And I know they are too. To see this, to say, yes, we can actually deliver that capability to you, they get excited. And then what you'll start seeing is those Western countries that have very slow systems and processes. We'll start seeing them coming on board because they'll see what those other countries are doing and want to join the bandwagon.
Absolutely, I think that's we're on the same boat. We see it, we believe it, we know what's coming up, and it's the cutting edge of technology. It's providing the solutions. Why wouldn't you use it? Spark, Cryptonaut, any closing statements from you guys?
Yeah, I'll go. Just reading through some of the comments on here that you guys are having. About what's coming up, what's going to be released, are we going to hit MainNet, all that kind of stuff. I actually have 2 meetings today to talk about those kind of things. So I wouldn't be shocked if you guys don't have something come out from us here in the next couple of weeks, explaining all that kind of stuff. So I know you guys are all eager. Just be patient. There's a lot, like Spark mentioned earlier, there is a lot coming out. And yes, we are delaying a couple of things to roll out later down the road, just so that it's not just so overwhelming for the community as well. Just remember, with every product that we put out, we've got to write tons of how-tos, tech docs for the developers to utilize it, all that kind of stuff. So we'll paint a better picture for you in the next couple of weeks. So just be patient on that. Likewise, don't forget we the team has put together a pretty how do you want to put this, life-changing opportunity for 2 people. So if you're unaware what that opportunity is, I highly recommend you go check out our Twitter space, Twitter account, and see what that's all about. Massive airdrop coming. So just make sure that you guys, if you want to participate, you're ready to go before the 15th. That's coming up pretty quick here. And just make sure that you're all ready to go on that. And good luck. And it's going to be an amazing ride for 2 people. That's for sure.
And for me, yeah, for me, it's just, I think, Chief and Cryptonaut covered it pretty well, but, I'm really looking forward to MainNet. at the end of this month, I'm also looking forward to 2024 in terms of our development, our progress, and what's going to be being released and being used within L1X app and the L1X protocol. I think it's going to be a pretty amazing journey for everybody for 2024. And, everyone's here prior to MainNet. So, thanks for being with us at this pretty early stage. But it's going to be an extremely exciting journey for 2024. So I'm looking forward to it short-term, long-term, mid-term. Buckle up.
Absolutely, and that's it. It's just starting to gear up for 2024. I realise we got plenty of organised between now and obviously end of the month. We're full steam into it. We've got a lot of things that need putting in place, and obviously questions will be answered along the way, and we'll get a lot more clarity around a lot more things as we get to full steam. So once again, from my perspective, thanks for bearing with us, everybody. We appreciate you guys taking the time to jump on and put your questions in, and we answer everything as best as we can and where we can, depending on who's here as well. Like I ideally, at some stage, maybe we can get a dev on here and they might be able to answer some of those back end questions too. That might be closer to MainNet or after. I don't know. There's just thoughts. But once again, thanks everybody for jumping on. We do have a heap of comps running at the moment, as Cryptonaut suggested. We have the airdrop happening. There's Twitter retweet basically through a gleam every day for L1X usernames. So heaps of stuff happening. Jump on, get involved, stay active in our chats. We'll be updating heaps more stuff very shortly, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you, everybody.